One. All right. Awesome. So we want to talk about, what do we want to talk about, Ohad? You tell me.
We figured out it'd be fun to talk about the different types of companies, and especially company sizes. As you think about career path and what's exciting and what's a good match for skills and what interests you. What's it like working for a company that has 5 employees, 20 employee startup, 100 employees,
Yeah.
1,000 employees. Those are very different experiences, growth opportunities, risk factors, and so forth and so forth. So yeah, we figured that'd be an interesting subject.
I think that's so fast. So when I joined Stackbit from a company that had 5,000 people, and when I was at the company of 5,000 people, my whole goal when I got there was I want to add value. I want to create value no matter what it takes. I want to start adding value. And so I joined in a sales role and I started finding all these little pieces that I could optimize. And because I knew how to code, I went out and actually built like my own onboarding flow. And then
Hmm.
it freaked everybody out in sales. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe he made this whole website that like pipes into Slack and gives me a notification. And now I can call them instantly and all this different stuff. And so we expanded it out to like 5, 10 other people on the sales team. But then product finds out or marketing finds out, and then it fully gets just shoveled away. And you can't do that. And you have to stay in your one role. And it felt like every time I tried to create that little extra bit of value to move my career forward faster, it was like, we need this ship is one big massive container ship, and we need you to do this one thing to maintain this. And if you go and do these other things, it's not going to be what we need you to do. And we'll move you to that next role in the 12-month, 18-month cycle that we always go through.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're getting a 5 strongly exceeds or whatever, your top 3% of the company, it's still going to take this 12, 18 months to move into that next role. So that's just something I've really noticed coming here has
Hmm.
been I can come here and instantly find, okay, here are the problems. These are the ones that have the highest return on them. I can focus all my energy on them and see that instant kind of feedback and growth in my career and also growth in the company, which has just been awesome.
I think, so for someone like you, Ryland, the the killer thing is identifying a company that hasn't written the playbook yet, right?
Right,
This is
right,
a lot
right,
of this is about as companies grow, you can
right,
think of them as going through this process of, starts out as an idea and scales, and you're constantly proving things out. And whenever you prove something, it's like, oh my God, we hit product market fit. Oh my God, we hit our
right,
first sale as a company. We have our first customer writing us a great piece of feedback. We have first time a partner is pinging us to integrate whatever kind of company you're thinking about or business model that company has. Every time that something is a big problem is solved, it automatically gets written into the company's DNA and playbook, right? Like, oh,
right.
we've been able to sell to whatever, to other startups. Okay, that's our audience. All the landing
Yep,
pages, everything, the messaging, everything is like oriented towards startups, and you kind of take that for granted. And if you try to skew from that,
right.
there's a lot of muscle memory to bring you back in line. So you want a company that doesn't have as much of a playbook. So that's the question you can ask now. So what's kind of clear in this company and what's open for interpretation and experimentation? And the second thing that you want to look for is you want to look for whoever you're going to report to and work with. If it's a small company, it's the founders or the person you report to. How much do they appreciate and can let you facilitate creativity, right?
Yep.
And how fast can they allow you to move? Because you're like, I obviously know you, right? But like for people hearing you for the first time or the second time now, it's like, you sound like a person who loves doing things, who loves delivering results, who loves problems, and gets a lot of satisfaction from identifying the solution to a problem without necessarily being told exactly how to solve that. And there
Right.
are there are a lot of companies that can really benefit from that skill set. So this matching is critical. You don't want to go work for another 5,000 person company unless you're working, as like with the CEO or at the office of the CTO, or like something which isn't in the main path where you're just going to hit, you're going to hit concrete walls made from playbooks, and people's egos and stakeholders and things like that.
Totally. Yeah, that's like so on point. Once those processes are in place, you get hired to basically ensure that that process continues to keep going, right? You don't get hired necessarily to create the next one or find that next one. And that's especially true the higher up you get, the further along the company's gone. And if you join like a hyper growth startup like Stackbit, you're the one that gets to build out those processes. And there's no faster way to build your career, build your skill sets, get into the role that you actually love and want to be in than being at a company like Stackbit, where the growth is just unreal. Like every week, new things are happening, new things are coming together. And I think what you also mentioned around like who's going to be your boss, that was a key thing for me when I was interviewing back in the day. And I remember Dan, our COO, asked me, Ryland, what's your kryptonite? It was like one of the last questions. And I was like, you know what my real kryptonite is? That I never in my life again, I'm going to work for a bad person. So if you're a bad person or you're just not kind, like you're not a good-hearted human being, I'm out. Like I'll turn off instantly and I'm not going to be here. And Dan had a good laugh. I even see you had a good laugh at that, but Dan is an amazing, wonderful human being. And it's been a pleasure to be, and I'm not just saying this to fluff anybody's feathers or whatever, but it's part of, I think, Stackbit's DNA is this fast motion and getting things done, and like the quick, insane communication that happens over Stackbit with every single person. But it's all done in a positive mindset and positive way. Even when the conversations are heated and people have different opinions, it's recognized that there's good intentions behind it all, and that's just been so magic.
And for us, again, we can talk a lot about us because that's the best example we have, and we know it very intimately. We've also gone through at least two stages of company building since you joined, right? So when you joined,
Right.
we were how many employees were we? Do you remember when you
Like
joined?
18 or 17, I
18.
think.
Okay. And we were on one hand a company with great traction and a decent product. Let's put it that way. Today the product's amazing, but that back then it was decent, and the challenge was basically cracking product market fit. And so that's
Right.
where having fast feedback loops and being able to connect with users and customers at scale and piping that and building a process around that, that's a super valuable skill, right? And so if you go back to like you love solving problems with like whatever tool you can find, and you're all about speed, and you understand it's not just generating value because that's kind of a broad concept. It's about understanding like what is valuable, because a lot of times
Yes,
people just
exactly.
don't they don't really they don't really relate to what the main challenges are and what the path of company building is like. And so for us at that stage, we were iterating on the product, and I think that you were instrumental in being able to build these very rapid kind of feedback cycles in terms of engaging with potential customers and trying to different facades of the product on them, and that fit into a great product and engineering organization. Today we're in a different place. Today we're in a place where, oh my god, we've hit product market fit and it's on fire. Today it's all about, well, how do we streamline the process of taking all of this interest and translating it into this world of like product qualified leads and
Yep.
marketing qualified lead, right? So we're starting to write our playbook. Like we kind of know who our audience is now, and we kind of understand how to show the product. And it's like the close rate is amazing because when someone like you gets on the call with a person at a large company that's interested in Stackbit, it's like you drive the message really well. Now our challenge is like, well, how do we do that without putting
Without a human.
without human in the process, right? And so
Yeah.
we've written part of the playbook, which like this is the product, this is what it does, this is what it empowers people to do. And now it's all about how do we, as fast as possible, identify the right product marketing and the right go-to-market strategy to do this kind of in a in VC parlance in like a repeatable and scalable fashion.
Yeah, totally. And I would say too that like when you're saying like we're just at the moment of building those playbooks, like by
Yeah.
no means are those playbooks like built out. It's like now is the time to start building those playbooks, and that's like that is such a magical moment to be in because the pull is there, and now it's basically how do we make that pull stronger in whatever ways that we can, and those become the playbooks. Is oh, we're seeing that we make it stronger doing this, cool, how do we make that even stronger and stronger and stronger and put it on repeat,
Yeah.
and then cool, we can make it
Yeah.
stronger over here, do the same thing.
I love analogies, and I've said this to the team, many times. When a company, like most companies, start out in kind of search mode. Not too many
Right,
companies
right,
start from the get-go with a very clear product and customers, and like some
right.
companies are fortunate
Yeah,
enough to
yeah,
be there. But
like a
most
GitHub
companies,
did that at the start, like GitHub
sure,
just boom.
sure, yeah, and a bunch, and Facebook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but most companies come out with like, well, this is what we think, this is the
Right,
market, this is the product, here's how we're going to
right.
approach it, and they go through this kind of customer development process and this process to seek product market fit. And so at any rate, when you're going through that process, it's a very elusive process, very, very, very elusive, because you're trying a lot of things, you're using your gut and you're using creativity and you're taking a lot of input, but it takes a while for things to work typically. And until they work, it's extremely hard to identify why aren't they working. Are they not
Yep.
working because your messaging is wrong? Are they
Yeah.
not working because you didn't pick the right call to action? Are your buttons invisible to people? Did you not test this, in
Right.
Safari? Like, so many different things could be breaking it
Yeah.
for you, and it's really hard to identify why. But and by the way, some people love that because they're made of steel, and you have to be able to. So if you're thinking about going into a company that is that early, you have to be ready for disappointment, because
Totally.
it's just inherent to the process, right?
Yeah.
So you
Right.
can't let that burn you down, and it affects everyone. It's impossible not to be affected, but it's very important to kind of go into it with your eyes wide open. I personally love that process because it has so much creativity,
Yep.
and it's kind of magical. But if you like writing playbooks, and starting to scale, then the stage that we're at right now is much more relevant. Where like sales are happening, massive market pull, and now it's just about how do we connect all of these things together,
Yep.
right? To just like
Right.
maximize. And back to the analogy, right? When you're in search, you have no idea why things are not working. When things are starting to work, it's kind of like an engine that is finally starting,
Yep.
and it's much easier to identify, how to optimize it, right?
Yep.
Like, do you need more fuel? Do you need to replace the oil? Do you need to clean the filters?
Exactly. Yep.
If you're a team that has come out of search mode and you're now in like starting to scale mode, it's a very different kind of, it feels much easier. It's just that the problems are just very different.
Yeah.
This is a very different stage of company. Next time we can talk about public companies. How about
Yeah.
that?
Perfect. That sounds good. Sweet. Well, we have a couple. If anybody's interested, we're hiring. And the roles that we got right now are senior web marketing designer, senior software engineer, senior product marketing manager, who I personally would be so excited to have that role filled, and then a solutions engineer as well. So,
We're basically hiring across, engineering, product design, sales,
yeah.
marketing. The only thing we're not hiring for, I guess, just yet is what legal and finance, but that's probably coming very soon as well. So
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I got a lead that I just got connected to one of the biggest real estate companies in the US that just came into my inbox. So I'm going to go and handle that. And yeah, we'll do this again
okay,
next week.
okay, cool. Have
All
a great
right.
weekend, man.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you all for watching.